this video we're going to be taking our brother Intarsia Carriage. This is a model KA2600. It's for the chunky machine, and we're going to be stripping it down and giving it a clean. You can see over here I have some tools that I've got set out. So we've got some cotton buds, a piece of bamboo skewer, some fine pointed tweezers, stiff bristle brush, a selection of screwdrivers, so we have some Phillips and some flathead screwdrivers handy, my cleaning sprays with their corresponding coloured cloths, as well as my pot stacking method that I like to use to keep all the separate parts stored in and safe. You can also see I have a pair of gloves on to protect my hands from the cleaning sprays and also any metal parts that might have some sharp edges, so this helps keep the hands cleaner. You can, if you wish, to also put on a protective mask and some safety glasses. So here is our carriage, and on the underside we can see it looks fairly clean. The only part that bothers me is on the carriage release here. There's some of this old grease that's gone quite yellow. So taking off this plastic part, I'm going to have to remove what looks to be 4 screws. So I have this screw here, this screw here, and these 2 up the top. So we're going to bring in one of our plastic pots and put the screws in, take off the top 2. Now the top 2 look to be exactly the same style of head, so since this is the first step, we'll take all of these out and put them into the same pot. So they're not the same once you take them out. These ones are slightly shorter than the first 2 we took out, so we're going to have to put them in a different pot. So we're going to take another pot, stack that inside the first pot, and put the next 2 screws in here. And lift off the Intarsia carriage. Now it doesn't lift straight off, you have to lift it up slightly and then push it away from you and lift it up again, because this part of the tension dial catches in underneath here. So again, fairly clean inside. Let's have a look. Could do with some cleaning on here. And some of the plastic could be cleaned off. So I'm going to take my plastic cleaning spray here. It's just some Dettol disinfectant spray. Spray some on the cloth. Take the plastic parts and give them a wipe down. This is where the bamboo skewer comes in handy, because you can take the point and lift out any of the stubborn grease, or you can use it through the cloth to be able to press into the smaller areas. The tension disc we will lift off, and you could hear something click there. That was this metal leaf. So we can see the metal leaf here, which lifts out, and if it requires it, you can give it a clean. You can see on one end of the metal leaf there's a cutout which corresponds with a raised square area on the carriage plate. Now the metal leaf will go behind this first post, in front of the second, straddle across this white plastic piece, in front of the third post, over the squared raised area, and behind this fourth post. And you'll want to ensure when you replace the metal leaf that the triangle sits behind the raised peg area on this white plate. This white plate is what your tension dial controls. On the underside of the tension dial we can see the cutout area for the metal leaf. So we're going to locate the peg into the hole, line up with the metal leaf, and we will need to push the metal leaf back slightly. Now this is only halfway seated, so we now need to locate this white piece into the spiral on the underside of the tension dial. So you just give it a twist whilst holding the underside in to the dial, and it should click into place. And now when I move the dial, the white piece should travel in and out depending on which way I'm turning the dial. So on the plastic plate here that we've just removed, this is the piece to release from the main bed. So we can lift this out and we can see here this was held in place with two catches either side, and there's also a spring which has no locating point. So the spring, again to keep it safe, we're going to put it in a pot and sit it to the side, and we can give this plate a clean. And to get into the crevice, I'm just going to come in with my stiff brush and we can wipe that down. And we can also have a look at the rest of the plastic area to see if any parts need wiping down. And then we can replace the carriage release mechanism, so placing the spring into this groove here, and then we're going to take the flat metal plates and slot these into the groove. We want to ensure the spring stays straight. On this piece, you can see this is where the spring locates into. And that's in place now. It's not clicked in any way, so it is quite loose. So you just need to be careful when you're moving the carriage plate around. Inside this top casing, there's some residue of the yellow grease, which we'll just wipe off. And we'll give the rest of the plastic a light dust out while we're here. You can, if you wish, to remove this metal plate on the front. You can see there are two holes cut out in it, which we can access screws behind. But looking inside, there's no build up or any marks or anything that require to be cleaned. So we can reassemble this now. So again, this piece is quite loose, so what we're going to do is put Pam on the underside of the dial, reach up if your fingers can span that far, and just keep a hold of this as we flip it, and then come back in on the underside and hold either side like so. And we can now place this back into the casing. So remember, before we could drop it in and then we would have to slip it forwards so that the dial locks into the plastic casing. Then we can come back in with our screws, remembering the short screws went to the top section. And we're going to line up the holes and place in the screws. Be careful that you have the right size screwdriver head, because you don't want to strip the heads of these screws. So we're done with this pot. Come back to our longer screws and place these into the two remaining holes. And we can put the empty pots back in our stack for the next time. And we're just going to give the carriage a look over to make sure things are in line. Things are firm, the same as they were before you took the carriage apart, and they function correctly. So this plate travels as it should. and we can decide whether or not we want to just give it a quick light wipe over on the outside of the plastic. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. Feel free to leave a comment, and until the next time, you've been watching Button Mouse the Wee Machine Knitter.